Hi, I am Laura Chandler, host of the Sacred Stream radio podcast. And on this episode, I'm talking with dream expert and founder of the Jung platform, Machiel Klerk, about his new book, Dream Guidance, Connecting to the Soul Through Dream Incubation. I hope you enjoy our conversation. And if you'd like to support the podcast, please hit the like button and subscribe below. It really helps us reach a wider audience. I'm Laura Chandler, and I'm here with Machiel Klerk, a therapist and the author of Dream Guidance, Connecting to the Soul Through Dream Incubation. Welcome, Machiel.
Thank you, Laura. It's such a pleasure to be with you.
Yes, I'm really happy to have you on the program. And your book is called Dream Guidance. I have it here. And I'm wondering what inspired your interest in working with dreams and writing the book?
It started that I've always had some very vivid dreams that I felt had some significance. But really in my early 20s, when I was stuck in my life, unresolved grief from losing my father at a young age, lack of meaning and purpose, sitting on the couch, doing nothing, and being somewhat depressed. And at that time, I was really stuck. I stumbled upon the works of Carl Jung, who had written extensively about dreams. And so I started reading that and then applied it to my own dreams. And at once I started seeing, oh my gosh, these dreams really reflect my inner state. And I could see destructive tendencies that I was engaged with, but also the direction that the psyche wanted to flow in. And by minimizing those destructive tendencies, or at least becoming more aware about them and aligning with the flow of life, my life started to get a purpose and meaning, and I got my enthusiasm back, and I got a desire for life. So it really helped me out of this deep pit that I was and gave me a lifeline. And I've since then been holding on to this lifeline because, you know, life has its ups and downs, but to have some sense of purpose and a certain sense of guidance, and that there is a flow of life and something more to life than just this world is tremendously helpful. And that sparked my initial interest in dreams and my connection to dreams. And I can talk more about the book and what sparked that, but to answer that first question, that's why.
Yeah, and I'd love to know what sparked your interest in writing the book, and also if you could talk a little bit about what dream incubation is.
Dream incubation is a very old technique in which people ask their dream a question before they go to sleep in order to have a helpful dream answer. And it comes back in almost any tradition around the world, from African shamanism to the old Asclepian tradition in Greece, in the Islam. I've even read also the Dalai Lama talked about how you can ask your dream for support and guidance, and that is possible. In any spiritual tradition you go to, there's some way that people have noticed, hey, if I engage with the dream, there is support in it. And dream incubation is the technique to do that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And you've been studying different cultures and their methods of dream incubation. Can you talk a little bit more about what you found?
Yeah, and I actually really first started just testing it myself and with my sister, with whom I have a great relationship, and we were playing around with what kind of questions can you ask, and how do you ask it, and what does trigger an answer, and if you didn't get an answer, what would be, why could that be? So I built up first and kind of an idea myself before I started studying all these other traditions. And once I've done that, I started to travel to Greece and Africa and Asia and South America to talk with people that work with dreams, to see how do you work with dreams, and especially what are your ways of engaging proactively with the dream for support. And I found somewhat a pattern in it that I tested myself and with the clients and people in my workshops. And then I came to this 5-step process that anyone can apply who would love to have some support in life and ask your dream a question.
Great. And can you talk a little about the 5 steps?
Yes, the first step is identifying that there is an issue or there's a problem. And it sounds very obvious, and we all have ongoingly issues because we're alive. And to figure out which question wants to be asked. And of course, we also repress a lot of questions that are knocking at the door that want to be asked. And usually those are great questions. And I can maybe give an example of someone that recently came out of a divorce, was back in the dating life. He said it doesn't flow so well. And he said, Machiel, I really would love to find a great partner. Can I ask that? Yeah, if that's a heartfelt question, you can, of course. And then so that the step 1 was that he recognized, hey, I want to find a great partner. And then we went to step 2 is really identifying how to write out a question and to tweak in the question. So he reflected a bit on it. And then he thought, well, what I really might want to ask instead, and what would be more helpful for my journey is, what is my biggest obstacle in life to find in dating? And he thought, if I overcome my obstacle, the rest will probably take care of itself. Mm-hmm. So he wrote down the question, dream, what's my biggest obstacle in my dating life? And then he engaged in a ritual. And with a ritual, I really mean a kind of a way of opening up to some larger awareness or the larger intelligence or something larger than ourselves, so that it can come in. And this person took a piece of paper and drew a heart and then a question mark on the heart. And then he wrote to the dream that this would be it's a heartfelt question. It would be so great to develop his loving capabilities more, and receiving love, giving love, and how it would help him and his further life. And so that was somewhat his ritual. Mm-hmm. And a ritual is really important. It's one of the elements that why this technique works. And then step 4 is go to bed, meditate for a moment on the question, sleep, dream. And then step 5 is write down the dream. And if you don't write it down, dreams have a tendency to evaporate. So please make sure, write down the dream and work on it. Sometimes the answers are really clear, and sometimes the answer comes from an angle you hadn't thought of. But it's still, I say, be radical. Take the dream as an answer to your question and just puzzle on it. And usually it comes throughout the day or in the days later. And so this man had a dream in which he was driving in his car in a tunnel. Mm-hmm. In front of him is another car driving, and he says, I see in the distance a mountain lion. And when I get closer, I see it's a beautiful tiger, and I get really scared. I stop the car and I back out. And I suggest to him, and in the book also for people that don't work much with dreams, instead of asking, what does this mean? Ask the question, what is happening? Mm-hmm. Because by what is happening, you get a structure, and you usually are able to figure out what it is. So he says, oh, what's happening? Oh, I'm driving, I'm moving through life. I see something that's beautiful, but it's also very scary to me. And my response is backing out. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Very clear.
And that against the question, he was like, that makes sense. Oh, that is my biggest obstacle. Mm-hmm. I'm backing up. I'm out if it gets too vulnerable to in beauty, any variation that you could think of. Yeah. And so that gives him then some guidance in his journey in finding a partner.
Well, he got a very clear answer to his question. What is my obstacle?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
His obstacle is his fear.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, and then he can do therapy on his fear of intimacy, but I'm
Right.
playing, but that's a really very helpful and clear response,
Yes.
right in the dream.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you bring up 2 points that you go very in detail in the book, so people can really get a better understanding of all of this by reading the book. But one of them is ritual, and the other is clarifying the question.
Yes.
So with ritual, what you're saying, and I think in our culture, we're not so used to ritual in the way other cultures are, but we have them, we wake up, we maybe have our coffee in the morning, we read the paper, whatever, we do have our little rituals. But the kind of ritual I think you're talking about is one of real conscious setting of space and intention. So when the man in the example you gave is writing down his question and drawing the heart, that's part of the ritual because it's focusing him, right? And can you give some other examples of rituals people have around dream intentioning?
Yeah, beautiful how you say it. It is an aware setting of the intention together with your focus and creating an expectation and putting somewhat your belief that this works, and also connecting to something larger than yourself.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't believe in it, even if you think it's your brain, it will work. I think there's a larger awareness. And so really intention also comes from the Latin intendere, which means reaching out.
Mm-hmm.
And so by reaching out and letting this larger awareness know, this is really important to me. I would love to have an answer. It would be so great. And then give some reasons why it's good for you, but also maybe for the people around you or your community. So the question becomes really generous that way. Mm-hmm. That just pumps up the likelihood that you get a clear and great answer to your question. Mm-hmm. It is also very relational, and treat your relationship to the wise mystery that's out there or the deeply creative intelligence that is present as a relationship. Mm-hmm. And so you, instead of here's my question, I hope that tomorrow it's there, the answer. You say, build something, do something nice for this mystery. Mm-hmm. Because in somehow that relationship really seems to deepen the likelihood for the answer.
Mm-hmm. Like an offering of, yes, not just taking, sharing. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And then you were talking about clarifying the question. And I think one of the things that you described was keeping it simple and maybe asking something that opens it a little bit more than saying like, why am I so sad? Right? It'd be more like, what's causing this sadness, or what do I need to know about this sadness? I'm just coming up with ideas, but but that idea of simplifying it, and then trusting that you're going to get what you need in terms of the answer. You don't have to go into all the details of it.
Well, what I've seen in my own work, and but also what they did research on dream incubation at Harvard University. Mm-hmm. And what they noticed is that when people ask a question of medical nature, mm-hmm, or of personal relevance to their life, they very often got a clear dream response. Mm-hmm. If people ask too much of an abstract question or something not relevant, or like what did the neighbor have for dinner, or right, how can I get the Ferrari? Yeah. Most of the times that Ferrari has nothing to do with your life purpose. Mm-hmm. Whatever, if it's like how do I become more aware, or how do I deal with my karma, or how do I individuate in Jungian terms. Mm-hmm. Questions that have to do with your life journey. Mm-hmm. Something out there will respond. And the old saying is, ask and you shall be given. And it
Mhm.
is really ask better questions and you get better answers.
Yeah.
And so really think through, what is it that I wanna know? Because a dream answers your question. If you ask the question, what could I know about this sadness? It's
Mhm.
very interesting,
Mhm.
because then you start also engaging with the sadness and you have start relating to it. And that is a different question than, how do I get rid of the sadness? Or what is the cause of the sadness? Or why am I so sad? Or why am I never happy? That's definitely not a great question. But it's a really beautiful question. What could I know about sadness? And because then there's an acceptance of sadness, there's an engagement with sadness, and something will follow from that.
Mhm.
And so spend some time on really thinking, what do I want to know?
Mhm.
And ask one question at a time. I've seen people
Right.
ask two questions, or even in, like I used that example in the book, where is it this woman asked, shall I take this person into my house as a roommate or not? That's two questions. And it's like, how do you know which part of the dream responds to which part of your question?
Right.
You make it really difficult for yourself.
That's right.
So,
Well, you can also, now I'm wondering, but it seems like you might be able to go deeper on the question over several nights. So you may get some information one night, and then you can ask more questions, as a follow-up to the information that you received.
Totally. Like the man with the question of what's my biggest obstacle, could do that is in dating, could have that. And then maybe another time is, how can I develop more courage?
Mhm.
Or how can I sustain better uncertainty?
Mhm.
And then the dream will give him an answer. And sometimes the answer is also, you get a feeling of what it is like to sustain uncertainty, or there's a character that is in the dream that can do that well, and you can embody that state, so that you can go on. Especially these big questions,
Mhm.
they very easily lend themselves for multiple questions over multiple nights,
Mhm.
usually spread out a little bit, but then you really build a relationship to the mystery.
Yeah. And what do you say to people who think they can't dream, or don't remember their dreams?
Yeah, the scientific research shows that everyone dreams about 2 hours a night.
Mhm.
And the reason we don't remember it is that our short-term memory goes offline at
Mhm.
night.
Mhm.
And you need the short-term memory to get it stored. So that's also the reason why you need to write it down in the morning, because your short-term memory doesn't function so well, and therefore it evaporates. But we all dream about 2 hours, 4 till 7 dreams is the guess. And the main thing is, if you show interest in dreaming, you will start remembering dreams. So just put in a pencil, paper next to your bed and tell the dream, I haven't had a dream for years. I'm not even sure you're there. But if you show up tonight, I'll write you down. I'll promise. And you
Yeah.
do that a couple of nights in a row, and guaranteed that the person will be dreaming.
Yeah. And it's really important that they immediately write it down.
Yeah.
Not wait, you don't, even if you're just writing and not turning on a light, keep with your eyes closed, but you have to get it down right then, or it'll leave, right?
Yeah, and exactly. And that's because when you wake up, your short-term memory gets activated again, but it's
Yeah.
not fully functioning. So either repeat a dream several times to yourself till it sinks in.
Mhm.
And the crazy thing is, I know this, but also once in a while, I think, I know this one. This was so emotionally intense. I remember. And then an hour later, it's like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. Oh,
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And for me, just when I jot them down, it's almost just to get, even if I'm not going into detail and I wait till the morning to go into more detail, it's like, if I get those kind of critical kind of feelings, like I call it like an energy packet of feeling from the image or the sense of the dream, then I can recall it in meditation, or and I can go further into it. But it's just key getting those power points, as it were.
That's right. That's right.
And what kinds of dreams are there? How would you classify dreams?
Well, that's a huge question, because you could look at Native Americans distinguish between little dreams and big dreams. And little dreams were the day-to-day dreams that have to do really with your personal life, and then the big dreams would be either dreams on behalf of the tribe, or really impactful dreams for your life that would usually also influence the people around you. In other traditions, you would say there's very much an overlap between personal elements and collective elements. And they co-create a dream world. And then there are dreams like somewhat prophetic dreams that seem to indicate what happens in the future, or nightmare dreams, or dreams that provide guidance, or is just kind of a transmission of insight. Other dreams just display your emotional state of the day. So there's a whole range of different manifestations that you could dream about.
And what are your thoughts on say nightmare dreams? What do you make of those?
Nightmare dreams are, of course, anxiety dreams, and very often indicate too much or too little anxiety. And it's almost always too much anxiety for, I feel like I need to do, I'm tested at work, and then at once I'm back at high school or college days where I need to do an exam and I can't find a room and I'm running around. And that is a reflection of your own mind, describing actually just describes you perceive the world, just like in those days where you were tested, and it is you experienced a lot of fear, probably too much fear. So you can do a certain meditative technique of bringing yourself down, or going into the dream state and sensing into different states of consciousness that are in the dream that help you to slow down. And so, or the classic example that a burglar climbs into the house. It's almost always that something in our own psyche wants to participate, but we, the ego, find it scary and keep it away. And by us keeping it away, it starts turning dark, and then it slowly becomes a nightmare.
I'll share an anxiety dream that I had. That I don't really have it that much anymore. Every once in a while, but anyone who's ever been a server, like a waiter or a waitress, will know this dream, because it's the anxiety dream is that there's always one table that you're not getting to. So it's crowded, it's busy, and you're running around, and then there's one table that you still, oh no, and you go back, oh no, and it just goes on. And if you talk to anyone who's ever been a server, they have had that anxiety dream.
Yeah, and again, there you can ask the question, what is happening? There's one more person I want to help or serve, and I feel I can't get to it, or I've forgotten it, and it makes me feel really bad. And then you will most likely recognize that in your day-to-day life.
Right, exactly. And what do you make of prescient dreams? What do you know about those? Kind of prophetic.
Yeah, what I've done a lot of testing also in this dream incubation. Like, what does the dream know? And for example, can the dream predict what the major headline in the New York Times is in 2 weeks? Or other predictions, like the outcome of a soccer match or something like that. And everyone needs to test it for themselves. But my hypothesis is the dream usually cannot predict the outcome of a soccer match or the New York Times.
Mhm.
But what it seems to be able to do is, based on the current situation, predict the outcome of dynamics or patterns that are unfolding.
Mhm.
So if I continue to do this and this is the most likely outcome. Or I've had in my own life that it would announce the death of a family member,
Mhm.
and that would then happen months later. But that process, I think that process has already started, and that information is just already available in the psyche, and it provides the information of this is about to happen because that process has started. So I think the future is malleable, but that there are some tendencies are at work that the psyche can predict. This is about to this is most likely going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know when I was a kid, I had a lot of prophetic dreams, and it scared me. So I tried to shut that down. But now, sometimes I'll get a dream of a friend, passing, or will show up kind of in the dream, and then some months, 6 months later, does in fact pass. In dreaming, for me, I always feel like I'm in different realms with it. So sometimes it's, as you say, it's maybe showing you something in your day-to-day, or a mental state. And then every once in a while, there's something that just feels like, wow, we're someplace really big. There's a lot of, there's a bigger reality that I'm being brought into, and actually getting some teachings or information, from that same. They feel different from the energy, showing me my mental state, which is very important. That's actually a really important thing that's very helpful. But these other dreams where they're showing me something or teaching me something is really profound, I think.
Yeah.
Experience.
And a couple of responses I have to your sharing is, one is that when people have these prophetic dreams, one thing is also it indicates that there's something in the depths of our being that seems to know things that can happen in the future, or has a larger knowing. And how can we have a relationship to this phenomenon that seems to be wiser and more intelligent than us? And we can build that relationship. Many ways people can do that. Meditation is of course one, just talking to it is another, or prayer, or whatever form people find, or dreaming. But it's great to have a living, and I think so many of the watchers or listeners have that too, that they've had a dream like that, and so now they know from their own experience, hey, this exists, and how do I nurture that? Then the second part that you say about these worlds that we enter with dreaming, and a dream is a world where we find ourselves in while we're asleep. And it's also really important, because sometimes in the West we have this metaphor of it's a letter that needs to be deciphered. But a letter is really a two-dimensional, one-dimensional direction that comes from mystery source X to us. But a dream is really a world that you find yourself in that is somewhat created by our personal unconscious, or let's say personal karma, and something else. And the personal karma or unconscious takes on the form and shape of figures from our daily life. Let's say I'm talking to you, this was a dream, I think I'm rambling on, and a character steps in, my previous boss, who I always thought was really critical and would shake his head. Then criticalness, my comes in the dream and takes on the form and shape of my previous boss. And so you have this symbol formation in the psyche that it has a personal element, but then there's also a larger element that either we get teachings or we meet figures that are way more aware than us and tell us things, or we're in worlds where the personal unconscious is very limited and we're really entering a different realm. And we experience what it is to be in those realms and can take some of that knowledge and wisdom with us back in here and hopefully continue to hang on a bit to that wisdom and bring it into this world. Yeah. And those realms are, of course, always there. I think they coexist here. And so it's, how can you bring in that kind of awareness into this world and become somewhat transparent to the other worlds?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it sounds like too, it's an opening to, as you open to your dream world, you learn more about what's happening and what kind of dream you're having and where you are in the realms, or you become more familiar anyway. But it's a dedication to doing that, right? Like you learn more. The more you do it, the more you learn. But it's exciting because it's a whole, it's boundless. It's a huge place that you get to go, that we do go every night in dreams.
Well, that is the one of the remarkable things. Every night we're in a world that we completely take for real. It's so real that we don't even question, oh, this is a dream alligator. Besides, when we're lucid, we reach a certain state of awareness that we know that we're in the dream. But we believe the reality of that world. And our mind is active and we engage there. We wake up, that world disappears, we're back in this world. And we do exactly the same thing. We take this world for really real. Right. And we forget somewhat that there is a dream world or other worlds coexisting. And we take everything, just like in the dream world for real. And if we would bring certain awareness practice to it, we would start seeing that that just like in the dream world is a world we're in, this world is somewhat co-created by our own mind with the mystery factor X. And that what we really see is our own mind around us, and and then the dream can inform us how perception is created and how we perceive reality and what the reality creating principles are. And then you get a different way of being with dreams, where dreams really become an awareness practice to see through or understand how the nature of reality is created.
Right. And I'm curious what your experiences or your thoughts are on the relationship between dreaming and dream states and meditation and meditative states.
I think that in meditation also there's different forms, but we open up to either let's say that you do a meditation where you just notice your thoughts, and that you start noticing, hey, these are thoughts I have, and instead of I identify with the thought. And the same kind of awareness practice, if you're in the dream, start noticing, oh, this is a dream alligator, and noticing that these are thought forms around you, and that gives you a different way of relating to either your daytime thought in meditation or the dream thought that the alligator is, and it gives a lot of freedom, because I could let the alligator eat me or send it love or do nothing or talk to it. And the same with these thoughts in day-to-day life, but because we cling to them, and then they take us, and then we're really hypnotized by this reality, and we're stuck in a certain way. And so I think that that meditation allows to open up to a larger awareness, and the influx of other states of consciousness, and that dreams is just another world that coexists. There's also you could also access these dream states from this reality, and yeah.
I think you did a great job describing, these, some of these states, and also how we're focused. What you're pointing to is, and is that we're focused in the physical world, the physical reality, the world that we can experience with our five senses. And so when we're working in meditation and in the dream world, we're expanding into a larger aspect of reality that's with us in our day to day. It's always present. And our culture in particular, Western or contemporary culture, we've become quite fixed or fixated on the physical and what we can see and touch and taste and hear and that kind of thing. But which is good, because it keeps us functioning, and we eat, and we know how to drive a car and get to work and those kinds of things. But that there's this larger experience of reality, and the dreams are opening us to, and meditation perhaps is opening us to, or prayer, or whatever it is, but expanding a bit beyond the physical realm, and realizing that the non-physical realm is also part of that. That's where we're going.
Totally, and that non-physical realm is very large and is massively influences this life, and both contains often just under the surface a cluster of wounds, complexes, karma, and that mainly drives our behavior, or even colors in the world we see. So what we see is through those lenses of our own wounds, karma, complexes. Right. And that meditation or dream work can help you see those things just under the surface. And then you can become a little bit freer over time with massive amount of work on it.
Right, exactly. As we talked a little bit before we came on about lucid dreaming, and I just want to know if you have anything you want to share about what that is and what your thoughts are about it.
Lucid dreaming are dreams in which you know that you're dreaming, and so you're actually it's an awareness practice, and we can use it for many things. First of all, just fun. You can fly around, you can meet attractive people, whatever you want. You can eat a great cake, you can drive a car of your liking. But the more interesting points come in personal development or growth, where you, for example, can yell out, "Is there anyone with a message for me?" And then usually someone will come to you and with a message for you. Or you can ask for an experience. A while ago, I said, I would love to experience unconditional love. And I was zapped in a state of unconditional love. Was there maybe for a minute, and then it ended. And so we can ask for experiences. And that's another part, or insight, or wisdom, or even healing. And then beyond it, what you is easiest to see when lucid is that how the dream world gets created. So if I have that thought of the critical boss, the boss will come in. If I think in the dream I can step through the wall, I can. If I believe I can't, I can't. So the dream world responds to expectation. And so you learn these how does expectation actually work. And a quick example is, once I was lucid in a dream, I was running and I was like, hey, this must be a dream. And I stood in front of a house and with also a stone wall. And I thought, can I push through the wall? Which I could. And I could just even feel the stones around my arm. And I was like, yeah, of course, because I believe I can push through the wall. But what if I now don't want to be able to get my arm out of the wall? Will it keep stuck? But I could very easily pull my arm out of the wall, which gave me the idea that willpower is really important. Yet expectation overrides willpower. Because I expect, I can. If I had not expected it, I would be stuck. And that is also how this reality works. Because if I have an expectation that people don't like me, I start behaving in a certain way that actually triggers that reality around me, by which people more often start not liking me. And I can, as a willpower, as a therapist, I know that willpower doesn't solve my expectation, because that lies deeper. So I can say, oh, I need to not want that. No, I need to work on the expectation and bring expectation maybe up from sometimes they don't like me, or they sometimes like me a little. And I can change the expectation by which actually my world starts changing because of my own internal expectation model. And that is how you in the dream can see how, and this is just one example of how expectation co-creates reality, how there are these reality creating principles that build up the dream, and that this world is created in the same way as the dream world. It's just more dense. And then I can better navigate through this world. And then behind that, but that lies outside my experience, I've heard people talk about it. Beyond the dream world, there's this non-image creating state of consciousness, and that's some traditions see that as one of the end stages in this lucid dreaming journey. And a blissful non-dual state that lies behind that. But
well, lucid dreaming is an advanced practice, considered an advanced practice in Tibetan Buddhism. And one of the tricks to it, that's not really the right word, but you have to realize, that one of the stages of it is realizing that you're dreaming, which is not easy to do. So the practice becomes, in the dream, becoming aware that you're dreaming. And then that's the first thing. And a lot of times people just pop out at that point, I want to share this. I wasn't going to share this, but I'm just going to share this with you because you were talking about that a long time ago. I had this dream that kind of showed me the nature of dreaming. It gave me my first insight really into the nature of it. And I'd been on tour, and I'd seen this billboard that day, and on the billboard was this kid who reminded me of there was a young kid who's maybe about 5 or 6. Anyway, I woke up from a dream, but the dream had not formed images yet. And so as I was coming out of it, I was aware, there's maybe a little bit of lucid dreaming in that moment, but I was aware of coming out. It was all energy, it was all unformed, but all feeling, all emotive. And I knew what the dream was, and it was almost like I was waking up too soon. So it was like slapping images on. And one of the images was, the dream involved, my brother when he was young, and it grabbed the image of this kid on the billboard who similar, but I learned a lot from that. But I always remembered that energy state and how coming out of it, usually when we wake up from a dream, we have all of that, this weird thing happened, and then this weird thing happened, and then I flew, and then we had this car, and we were on these kind of things that are going on in a dream. But there was no image to it except getting kind of slapped on as I woke up.
That's so fascinating. This world that creates out of emotional and all these other willpower, intent, expectation, karma, and that there are these in between states, and there's a new world that creates itself in a couple of seconds, and
Right.
yeah,
And then they hold the very Jungian, and I know you're Jungian, but the image holds the information, right?
yeah.
And you talk about this in your book, and so people need to go buy the book and read the book and learn more about it. But how to interpret dreams, and about how you want to pay attention to the state of mind that you're in, or the emotional states that you're feeling.
Yeah.
That's one way to incubate. That is an important aspect of incubating the dream. One of
Yes, yes.
So
well, what I try to do is write this book for the general audience, and instead of also wanting people to learn all these symbols and study that, and then 7 years later they know all these mythologies. If you just ask the question, what is my experience, and you write down your feelings and thoughts, and you look at the structure of the dream, you don't need any knowledge of dream work. You can immediately start working with your own dreams, or just say it like, if you would describe, as it's not a movie, but as if it was a movie, what's the storyline, and put there the emotions in. You'll get very far working with your own dreams.
Yeah, that's a great point. And it's a great aspect of the book, because you really get people working with dreams right away. And I think sometimes you can get a little distracted with like, this means this and this means that, and oh, I looked up what this, because the meaning, if you're getting the meaning directly from your experience of the dream, if you're paying, you develop your ability to pay attention to it. So, and you really offer those ways of doing that. And you have some really interesting stories in the book, and people, their incubation, the way they've worked with their dreams, and stories about Asclepion, which we didn't even get to talk about, but like, it's so cool, the Asclepion temple. And people will learn more about that if they read the book. And Machiel, it's so nice to meet you and to work with you. What's next for you? Are you teaching? Are you writing another book? What are you up to?
Well, out of a nighttime dream years ago, I took that as a direction to build a platform for soul-oriented psychology. It's called the Jung platform, where we offer now over 150 courses, and we have now 20 people working there. So that eats up probably 70% of my time, and that will eat it up for the next several years. But I also enjoy doing that. And I continue to do once in a while a workshop and do a little bit of therapy with dreams on the side, and once in a while I think about other workshops and structures to do, but I'll just put that on the shelf and let it percolate. So, but that is mainly what where my time goes, and of course, I continue to write down my own dreams and grow in the journey that way.
Great. Oh, well, I so appreciate you being on the show today. And people can learn more about you at machielklerk.com, which we'll have on the website, and also at Jung Platform, which has a lot of great classes and more information on dreams and a lot of other things.
Yes. Thank you, Laura. It was such a pleasure to share this space with you and muse and mingle and dance together with the unknown world of dream. And thank you for also your energy and your inquisitiveness.
Oh, well, thank you. It's really been my pleasure. And we'll see you again.